Well, Mother's Day is almost over, and it was truly the best. Awesome. And if any mothers are watching, I hope that you had a great one too. So this little video goes out to Wimon and Linda. You know who you are. It's a little letter written probably in 1980, I imagine. I was living in Argentina at the time, and I just have to share it because it's funny, and it's just a window into my life before I ever even had a thought of having children. Um, so the setting of the letter is I had just come back a week before I wrote this letter to my parents in Washington. I had gone to a really great concert that featured a film of Leonard Bernstein directing the Vienna Symphony Orchestra. And they played Mahler's Eighth Symphony. And we were also trying to make plans to get inside and see a ballet at the Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires. So anyway, later that week, here's what happened. And this is a letter I'm writing as a, let's see, I guess I would have been, 19. Yeah. I'm writing it from Argentina back to my parents in Washington State. So, a couple of days ago, I'm talking to my mom and dad, the orchestra that I played with in Morón, Buenos Aires, had another concert. We played for a group of people that is a society to protect retired people. The concert was a complete disaster, I thought. We were supposed to be at the concert site to rehearse entrances at 2 p.m. There were 2 people there when Wyman and I showed up at 2 o'clock. The concert was supposed to start at 3. It started at 4. The principal second violinist showed up at 3. The orchestra manager that takes care of our music, and he didn't show up with the music until 3. So, in other words, we didn't rehearse. And when he did show up, parts were missing. So he had to run around finding our missing parts, and then finally, we got started. Our first number was a Mendelssohn piece. The first part was played by a quartet, and the second violinist, who also plays for the National Symphony Orchestra of Buenos Aires, got lost or something. But he kept playing. So the first part turned out like one of those modern works. It was awful. After that, we did a work by Giordani for violin, viola, and orchestra. The director played the viola part and at the same time had to direct because everybody was rushing. You know, that happens with music groups. They get going a little bit too fast. Well, that happened. Finally, intermission came. During the first half, I was having skirt problems. I had borrowed a midi wraparound skirt from Linda, Wyman's girlfriend at the time, who have now been married, I don't know how many years, but I know they had 3 kids in Africa, and now they got grandkids, so I don't even know how long you guys have been married, but hello, I love you, I miss you. Anyway, so all through the concert, the first half, my skirt kept slipping around my leg, and my slip kept showing in full view of the audience. Much embarrassment. Mucha vergüenza, as we used to say. We got ready to start. Yeah, shuffly airmail paper. We got ready to start the second half, and the director was just about ready to give the downbeat when he realized he had forgotten his glasses. downstairs during the intermission. So the bass player had to run downstairs and get them. It was 2 tries before he got the right pair. The audience applauded once we got situated. We played a Mozart piece, and the first movement went fine. I breathed a sigh of relief because I thought all the chaos was over. But no. We got to the second movement, and the principal first violinist repeated a part that we weren't supposed to repeat, and he didn't stop playing. So instead of him following us, we had to change around and follow him. Needless to say, more modern music. We turned a classic Mozart work into progressive music. Yes, improv. The guy I sit by is an old guy, and he is a riot. For some reason, he kept wanting to stand up after each piece. No one else did, so I felt rather stupid having this old dude rocking back and forth. What's more, he played so out of tune that I either had to play in his ear or play twice as loud to drown him out. Next came a couple of weird Argentine pieces. So, between that, to top things off, the director couldn't find one of his scores, so he had to direct it by heart. I've never seen anyone so nervous in my life. At this point, I didn't know whether to die laughing or die crying. What's even funnier is that the people gave us a standing ovation, which tells you a lot about how much they knew about music. So we had to play an encore piece, which we definitely hadn't rehearsed at all, but it turned out the best in comparison with all the other stuff we played. I could not believe how disorganized everything was. I left as fast as I could after we finished. It was a nightmare, but now it's a tearjerker. So funny telling about it. My host dad and my host sister laughed so hard when I told them about it. I laughed all the way home in the bus, mostly because of the comments from the concert, from the members of the orchestra. Comments like, oh dear, where's my last page here? Comments like, oh, here we go. It's an old letter. I just found it today after all these years. Comments like, well, we did pretty good. They would say, hey, hicimos bastante bien, eh? Or, wow, what a fine concert. I just said, yeah, it really was something. Oh, so then I go on to ask my mom if she'd gotten her ticket. And we talked about prices of tickets. So anyway, I just thought that Wimon and Linda would like to hear that little story. As I recall, the first time I ever met Wimon, I was going to this rehearsal with this orchestra. I don't know how I heard about it or why I got invited. Can't remember any of that part. But we had this rehearsal. My sound post had fallen down, and so one of the nice guys took my sound post out and he tied a string around it, and he somehow got it back on my violin without a sound post setter, which was amazing. And then afterwards, I noticed this guy in the cello section, and he didn't look Argentine. And I thought, wow, I wonder if he speaks English. And so sure enough, we got to chatting, and he goes, well, he goes, where are you from? And I go, oh, you've never heard of it. He goes, well, try me. I go, well, I'm from a little town called Wenatchee, Washington. He's like, he looks at me, he laughs. He's like, I'm from Kennewick, Washington, my same state. Here we are, 25-hour airplane ride from Washington State, and we meet in this small little town on a specific day in an orchestra playing together. So he became my friend. I ended up going to one of the churches where he was a part of a mission team, and met some great people there and went to church there quite a bit while I lived in Argentina. And then I met his mission teammate at the time, Linda. And I can't remember if we met maybe at my friend's house or in a choir. I remember she was in this choir with me, with another really good friend. But, we became friends. And then over the years, they moved to Africa and started a church there. And I kept in touch as best I could. And then long time went by, and, we kind of lost touch. And then I found out they were back in Uruguay, I think. Um, and then I think just before that, we found each other on Facebook. So many years later, many children later, and many grandkids later, we're still in touch. So I really wanted to um, wish Linda especially a really happy Mother's Day, and thank them both for the really special, godly influence in my life. Um, I just count it a privilege to know them as my brother and sister in Christ, and I just have so many great memories of them and with them, and just know that they've had a really awesome life, and they've served the Lord their whole lives, and um, they were just always such a great example to me. And my host family just loved them too, very much. Even though, they were Catholic at the time, and they were always trying to get me to go to Mass, which I did several times, you know. But I just wanted you guys to know that I've never stopped thinking about you, and I've prayed for you guys going on, I don't know, what is it, 40 some years now, 4 decades. So, anyway, happy Mother's Day. I'm so glad that you guys are still together and still serving the Lord. And I just see, every time I see your faces on Facebook, I just see the joy of the Lord like I always did. It's such a blessing. So, anyway, guys, have a good night. And I just want to let you know, too, that my daughter is now, she's learning Spanish, and she's getting pretty good. She's getting to the point where she can actually read and understand paragraphs at a time, which is very cool. And she's got a really good friend, um, a internet friend from Panama who helps her all the time with her Spanish, sends her songs, sends her, sentences, sends her readings, sends her quotes. It's just amazing. And so, that influence continues on. And he's also a believer too, which is just so precious to me. So there'll probably be maybe 3 or 4 people that watch this, tonight or in the next week or so. I don't know. But I'll tag you. I'll send you a link so you guys be sure to see it. And if you do want to watch the other videos that I've posted, it looks like I've only done 6. I've done 30. At least 30. The first story I read was Journey Cake Ho, which is really funny because we were watching a movie the other night, and that the Journey Cake was mentioned. Oh, it was from I think it was from a Scottish series we were watching, and the Journey Cake was mentioned. I was like, oh, I did a story about that. So anyway, what you do is when you see uploads above the last video, just click that, and all the stories I've done come up. And of course they're for my grandkids, but they're also for everybody else's grandkids. So lots of stories and fun that I have been doing during the worldwide shutdown, which I and you, I know, have been praying that God will just move his mighty hand in his mighty, almighty God way that he does. I'm so thankful for that. All right, guys, sleep well, everybody. And hopefully, if I don't see you here on this plane, we'll be reunited in heaven, and be ruling on the earth someday. So that's going to be a great day. All right, love you guys. Bye.